thank you all for being here. It's always a pleasure to connect with Mudra in different capacities. And I hope that the first webinar that we had on consumer behavior was helpful. Please free to write to me anytime, whenever you need any help. Always happy to help. And today we are going to discuss about the branding stuff. And basically there I would emphasize on how different new frameworks are evolving and developing, and how brands have to be connected with the consumers as well as the external environment, which is quite uncertain. And I would spend around like 45 minutes on it. And then maybe I would be happy to address the questions at the end of the session, as we have done it last time. Here is the starting slide, which is developing the brand and resilience in the pandemic scenario as well as the post-pandemic scenario. And I'm going to focus primarily on how brands can connect very closely with the consumers, and probably how they can co-create new products and services which will be beneficial to the consumers as well as the society, community, as well as environment, because all the different stakeholders, as we see in the present scenario, is important for the business as well as for the consumers. So with that note, I'm starting. I also wanted to mention that this is the outline of the presentation, which is about how the businesses are having challenges, what is the new normal in the context of branding, what do the consumer expects from the brands. This is a framework which I will be introducing for the first time, exclusively developed for Mudra employees, which is the Spiderweb framework. Credit goes to all my co-authors in India as well as the US and the UK, because we've been working in this space of branding since a long time, almost 2 decades now. And given the present scenario, we thought that something else is going to work, which I'm going to introduce in this session. So it becomes really exclusive, because first time we are orienting this particular framework. Then I'll explain you a small case study in which how branding was done by Microsoft and how the company has evolved. And then few elements of emotional and empathetic branding. So with that, I would start with the challenges. So primarily, as we all know, that in this scenario, most of the brands have the complexity and the ambiguity, because there is, of course, the slowdown. There is a drop in the company revenues, and there's also reduce in consumer demands, and uncertainty is there. Given this particular scenario, and I'm emphasizing more on that, because now the brands have the key role to play, because brands have to understand the situation under which the consumers are, and then accordingly develop the branding strategies. So the strategies of the brands are more of short term, which is more of urgency based. And it is also required that we work on the long term investments. And that's where I have emphasized earlier in my session, as well as now I would like to mention that we should work on co-creation, which is a constantly evolving situation. And I would like to give you an example over here of Wed Heaven. This is a particular company in India where they have actually, because wedding is a very big business in India, and because of COVID-19, this particular business have badly affected. So they have actually digitized everything, and they are doing a digital wedding where they are providing all the digital services to the people, and tracking of barat, what is happening, planning, scheduling, everything is happening in the digital space. So they have actually leveraged this particular, they've understood the challenges, and they have converted that into a solution which they are providing to the consumers in this particular scenario. So that is quite interesting to know that how brands are evolving through the digital space. If you see the hang of this particular industries, probably here you would see, of course, there are categories like luxury, personal care categories, because people are not moving out. They're just focusing on the necessary products. So that is, of course, not so great. But essentially, we should focus on those products which are doing really good, which is the fresh fruits, hot drinks, toys, all of that. So earlier, the brand used to go to the consumers, and I'm sure that whenever we used to, I visited Mumbai a couple of times, and we had a lot of discussion about out of home advertising, and having the digital footprint outside, because your consumers are outside. Now is the scenario when the brands are coming at home, because we also discussed H&H model last time, which was about the health and home kind of a scenario, where people are staying at home, as we are also at home right now. And given this situation, brands are coming home. That's how it has changed. The entire condition has changed. So which brands have done very well? So like LinkedIn has worked very well, and people are connecting. And the last research I think Micah did was about the media content and media usage. And interestingly, what we found was that 4 hours extensively people are investing on an average on different type of digital platforms, which is quite interesting, because earlier it was not happening, but now people are more focused. You see that the audience is very much interested in those kind of media content. They are ready to co-create. They are ready to share their content. Sharing has also become little more viable. I was having a discussion with my co-authors in the US, and they said, and we had a digital international webinar this Monday itself. We had people from 11 countries, and we were discussing about digital marketing as well, and branding. So they said that even they have seen this particular change in Finland and UK and other parts of the world, because earlier people were not so open. So this becomes a branding opportunity for the different companies across different categories, because if people are open, then probably it's very easy for us to get connected digitally. So what is new normal? New normal is basically an opportunity, and it's like, I would put it as new change and a constant change, because the brands can constantly evolve. They will get a lot of opportunities which they would get along with the consumers, because I always feel, and I always mention, that it's the co-creation from both the side, from the brand side, what they can offer, and from the consumers, what they need. And if they come together, probably it becomes a very good solution. And that leads to my model, which I mentioned last time, SEVA model: solutions, informations, value, and access. So primarily they look for the solutions, and that's how the brands can offer the solutions to them. So with that, let us see what is the pathway of success beyond COVID-19. So probably we have already discovered what's going to be there. And what we need to do essentially is to build scenarios uh, based on the expertise, and then execute it with the confidence. This is exactly the strategy which needs to be there in branding area. Reason being, every brands, I strongly believe, have their own strengths, and basically they can leverage those strengths and identify those expertise which is there, and then probably identify the scenarios under which they can actually work with the consumers and provide solutions to them. For example, Fortis Hospital. Recently, I was going through the report, and we were working on some health-oriented research as well. And then we realized that what they are doing is they are offering the customer services, and they have segregated the areas into COVID patients and non-COVID patients. And they are extremely doing well in terms of telemedicine, because now what has happened, as we have discussed earlier in our session about H&H, which was home and health kind of a scenario for the consumers. Same thing in the health sector, the big industry which is coming up, and that is where the brands are doing exceptionally good, is the healthcare sector. And that's how People are having more pleasing and seamless experience because they don't have to travel, and there's no hassle of going and visiting the doctor, but they can actually do it online. And this is happening in the US, UK, as well as India. And I think Fortis has done a great job in using the technology and helping the people in terms of their issues related to health. So I think with that, we should also understand what consumer expects from the brands, because what is the expectation, basis the expectation, strategies can be developed. So the first thing which they're looking out, which is there in COVID-19 as well as beyond, is that they focus there on the necessities. As I was saying, that if you've seen the last chart, it talks about the basic requirements, which is about the food, hot drinks, and all of that. So basically, those segments are evolving. With that context, I will like to give you another example, like Parle-G. You know, Parle-G is a quite old brand, and given that particular historical history and nostalgia of the brand, they actually leveraged it quite nicely during this pandemic scenario. And what they have done is 25% of their campaigns and everything was digital, which has given them a great mileage to connect with the people and to provide the solutions. And their growth rate has increased by 25%, which was the last report which I have seen. So I think that can be done very easily. Consumers think that they are very concerned about the safety. Yes, it is very important, and I think it's doable, because another example I can give you about Big Bazaar now. In the changing scenario, the strategy will be not so much on the food and the products, but they will focus more on the safety and requirements of the consumers. Another example which is coming up in my mind is about the Delta Airlines from the US, and they are actually working exceptionally well in order to have the safety measures for their people as well. The third scenario where the consumers are looking for is they actually looking for those brands which they can trust. So that is how the brand trust is very important, and that can be developed, because trust is a feeling which you can develop eventually. And I think it is more doable if you connect it with the sustainability and responsible branding. If we have, then probably it works very well in the scenario. So this is the framework which you see. First time we are introducing this, which is a spider web framework. And what does that mean? It means that consumers are in the middle, and we have all these type of brandings that we have discussed earlier. The entire flow of the presentation would be around these strategies as well. But essentially, those strategies and approaches are moving around the consumers, and the basis that content and information which is around the around an individual, they decide which particular brand they would be more inclined towards, what type of category they would be inclined towards, and accordingly they make the decision. So primarily the branding has to be innovative, digital, at home. As I was mentioning, the brands have to go and reach at home of the people. They need to have the trust. And because people are so anxious and uncertain about the future, probably if brands can develop their confidence, that would be really appreciated. So that is one of the strategy which I think brands would have to think about. And then the community development, branding with purpose, I think that would really help. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain all these strategies with examples, so that I can emphasize on the different points which are mentioned in this web model. So let's begin. So now the branding has to go very digital. So that is digital first. I think that was something which was missing earlier. So now if I quote the example of Latin America, 13 million people are the first time users of the e-commerce transaction. So I think digital has come up in a big way, because I would mention we have also done other studies for Generation Y, then Generation Z, then also baby boomers and traditionalists. And the interesting part is the Generation Y is teaching to baby boomers and traditionalists, because they want to ensure that everybody should be digitally savvy, and the taboo about digital natives, which is only Generation Y, eventually is moving out, because everybody is coming on the digital platform, because everybody has the requirement and they cannot move out. Now, the e-commerce shift is quite obvious because it is less expensive. People can go and shop outside. So I think branding is becoming more digital. Now, in that scenario, it is also to redesign the journey of the people, because I think if you redesign the journey while they are on the digital space, they are quite satisfied. As you see, the grocery shopping is quite enjoyable to the people in the US because they feel that it's very personalized. But here we have to be a little careful because that's what I'm going to mention also in my subsequent slides about the privacy issues. So for that, when we also do mobile marketing and we develop branding around it, probably it's a good idea to go for an opt-in and opt-out strategy because people feel more comfortable. We empower them as brands, and I think that is where individuals feel a little comfortable with that. And this is coming up in a longitudinal study which we have done across 11 countries. And it was done by Northwestern. I was part of the study. And that is where people across the countries have told that if brands come and ask us, that is more appreciated rather than we going to the brand and just, they randomly pick up the information which is floating around. So here is another example of our own brand from India, which is Myntra. And they actually use machine learning and other platforms where they figured out what are the consumer demands, what consumers are looking for, and there were actionable insights. I think this is very important because you get the insights, but you have to put it in a strategy. So they put it in the strategies and they prioritize their offerings, which you see in their apps, and they introduce this work from home edit kind of feature, which is there in Myntra. I think that is where they came up with comfortable wearing clothes and all of that, which they have introduced. So I think that is how brands are moving and they are changing their strategy. Now, brands are at home, which was one of the point in that spider web model. So here is where they are looking for. They are looking for a multifunctional hub, which is the home becomes the place where people live, they work, and they do everything. They learn, they unlearn, they relearn. All of that is happening at home. They are playing also at home. They're engaging with the brands at home with their devices. And as I was mentioning that Indian consumers and people from Asia specifically are more accustomed with different type of gadgets, which is also coming out from their upbringing and the different languages which they use, which is multilingual. I think that is where they connect very well with different gadgets and different type of contents because their information processing is quite fast and they can process versatile information, versatile aesthetics at one time of simultaneously, basically. So the other point about branding would be the media mix, which is more about VR, AR. So we were working on one of the paper which we were working in terms of the research about the AR and VR in Canada, the US and India. And what we found was that AR and VR is actually going to come up in a big way in terms of learning also, because I think with this Reliance Jio, they have also introduced mixed reality, which will add a lot of fun to the learning aspect. So with that, I have another example, which is Platinum. And here what is happening is that's where the fitness is coming up in a big way. And this brand is again from the US, but it provides all the facilities which are being required by the consumers, which they are looking for. And I think that's how branding is going to help the people. And it is more personalized, it is convenient, it is accessible, and I think it provides all the features. So with that, the next strategy would be to develop the trust among the people. Now, this takes little time because if you're a familiar brand, it takes lesser time. But if it's a new brand, it takes little longer. But I think it can be done very easily through digital platforms. So we were also working on place branding as one of the projects from the US, UK, and India again. Where we were trying to understand that how digitally you can be connected to the people and you can actually develop living heritage or a branding for people or a branding with people for a particular place. So I think the whole idea is to include people at different instances. That P is very important while branding is developed. And it came up in a big way because the involvement of the stakeholders are very high, and they become the advocates, because earlier places were always branded with monuments and what's happening in the physical space, where people even focused on the people who are actually living there or visiting there or being part of that place, because they are the advocates. Nowadays branding is more about when the people experience a place than what they think about it, rather than place talking about themselves. That's not credible. So with that thought, I think in terms of the shopping categories, experiences are going to be very important. And while you provide a good experience, people would have more, credible on the brands. So they would really love those brands which provides good experience, and that can be provided through the digital platform very easily. So here are some of the examples which I've taken from Israel. Uh, the chocolate bar, as well as Argentina, which has designed a new logo considering this particular scenario which we have in terms of COVID-19. Then coming the next part, which is about the confidence and reassurance, because that reminds me that every time the consumers have to be reassured that the brand is safe, the brand is going to help you, the brand is going to help you at all the stages of your life, whatever it may be, and it also provides them a sort of a roadmap. I think that would really help all the brands as well as the consumers, because the decisions are always taken in the time of uncertainty. So they are very comfortable with the familiar brand. So here I have another example, which is Cottonelle. This is again a brand which is the world largest toilet paper producers, and they actually emphasized on stock up the generosity, and then this emphasized on it with the US based charity, which is United Way. So I think when you actually connect with credible sources, boost up the confidence of the people which they are looking for in this particular scenario, I think branding works very well in this kind of atmosphere. Now, the next part which we discussed in that web framework was about community-driven branding. Community-driven branding is more about how do you connect with the community now. So in the present scenario, the best way is the digital way. This is one of my favorite brand whenever I visit the US. I spend like 2-3 months every year, to be honest with you. But this time I could not go because of this scenario. But this is one of my favorite brand because this is very close to our Indian food. And what they have actually done is they've connected with their community through the virtual hangouts, and it has worked very well because people feel that yes, they are connected, and they feel aligned with the brand, because this is one of their favorite brand even in the US. So let's stay connected, and that's how it works in terms of community and local services which they can provide. Then the next part which we discussed was about the brand purpose. So brand purpose is really very important. As we discussed earlier also, brand purpose is an individual level, at a community level, and a societal level. So when these levels are being developed, I think what is important for the brands is to understand what is happening in the society as a whole, and then probably try to communicate what is contextually driven by the people, and then put up the action point against it. So I think that ways, if it is aligned, then probably it works very well. So here is another example which you see about P&G, where they introduce this paper dispenser tubers of Old Spice, which is actually very helpful. And many brands are working on the recycling part basically to overcome this kind of scenario. So branding by sustainability, I think that is aligned with our previous thought. And here again, the Jamson, this is one of the another example which I'm giving you, where the celebrations at home is safely, and that's how people are aligned. People are making that, okay, this is more sustainable, this is more aligned with the thoughts, and sustainability is something which is very important and which is ingrained, which should be ingrained in the brands, and most of the brands are doing it, and that is aligned with their strategies as well. So this is quite interesting for a country like India, where innovations are always being at peak, and we always say it as a jugaad. So most of my co-authors and people with whom I work in the global context, they appreciate this innovativeness that we have in our mindset, which is we never crib about something and we try to identify the solutions around it. So that's how the innovations are also seen in brands. And a lot of brands have reimagined themselves in this scenario. That's why they are able to cope up very easily. They're able to innovate. They came up with hybrid models, which was required in the present scenario. They have partnered with different organizations so that they can sustain in this particular pandemic. So here are the examples. First example comes from the Unilever, where they actually came up with leptin, which is the immune support tea, and I think it was given by vitamin C. So this is something which is quite interesting. Nike came up with the live stream workout sessions. I think Cult also came out with a live streamed workout sessions as well. And here Nike has done it in China. So WeChat is really good there. So probably they worked with that and it has worked out very well. Then Pepsi launched very snack bundles, basically because people were at home and they wanted to have a lot of snacks. So they changed their portfolio. This is again related to the product portfolio and expansions. And the repurpose of the artificial snow, I think that was also done by Emicon Controls. Hence has actually worked on home cooking kind of recipes and the sausages and all of that. I think Marriott's have also innovated themselves in the present scenario. Same thing happened with Netflix, where they actually worked on the scenario where they wanted to understand that how this particular connection can be developed besides the innovations which they have done. So this is quite interesting, example again, which is about the virtual restaurants. I think this is something which we are working in a big way, which about the place branding, tourism and hospitality, and that has gone for a toss. So what we can do, so we are trying to develop some branding and advertising models there. And while we were working on it, this is what we found, that people are not eating out. There are ghost kitchen. And if you look at India, this is again mind-boggling figures which you see here. And that's how the hospitality sector has to optimize their delivery and the food services, and have to revamp the branding services and offer the products in such a way so that it makes sense to the consumers. So here are some examples. Rappi partnered with the Cooking Network and the meat producers and worked very well. Taste made actually worked on the online cooking videos and the recipes which they have shared. Then again, the frozen food meals were also shared by Simple Page. So these are certain examples which are there. Here is an outstanding example of Microsoft. I think what Microsoft has done is these strategies were used. So they collected the data, which was quite obvious in the US, and they actually supported the education system. So these were all their branding strategies which they cut across the entire scenario. They developed real-time capabilities to their apps, helped the patients, supported them financially, developed the connections online. And if you look at the figures, actually they developed around 100 communities, which might be a little lesser, but I am sure they might have done more than this. And they donated more than $1 million for Seattle Foundation, which is again one of the area where they're working on the vaccines as well. And they recently did a lot of donations for other community development areas as well. So that's how it is. Coming to the second last part of the presentation. So it is about the emotional branding. So I'm sure that emotional branding works very well, especially in a collectivistic culture like India. And I think the idea of developing emotional branding during a pandemic scenario is very important because it helps the people to connect with their sentiments. It helps in storytelling. So I would like to add that here, the brands can do actually digital storytelling. And we did a research which was connected to digital storytelling in the context of lingerie. And we have a brand like Zivame. They actually identify the pain points of the people and then they develop the story around it. They weave the story around what was required and it has worked very well. So I think emotional branding works very well in pandemic and post-pandemic scenario because brands feel connected to what we are saying. And then community development, of course, value driven content. This is very important. And here you see two examples. One is coming in from Nike, which is about playing inside, and we all are there with you. That's how people feel connected with the brand. So this is one of the branding strategy. Then Zomato, again, about the community care, which they're talking about how do we connect with the community, how do we relate with the community, how we take it forward from there. I think that's how people get connected. And then the other part of the branding, which I wanted to highlight, was about the empathetic branding. So empathetic branding is basically about standing with the community, showcasing everything with the purpose over profits. This is very important. And of course, aligning the emotions with the brand personality. And while you're doing the empathetic branding, because you are showing your empathy towards the consumers and saying that we are with you, in that context, the tonality, the visuals, the aesthetics, the celebrities that you use, or maybe the common man that you use, because nowadays the credibility of celebrity, eventually what we have found in our own research is not so great as it used to be earlier. People feel more aligned with a common person rather than the celebrity. At least to have the connections and the association. So empathetic branding works very well. For example, Ford has actually done the credit support, know that we are available. So I think that gives a kind of a sense to the consumers that, okay, the brand is with me and I feel more comfortable. So that's how even the Lego has worked. So interesting story about the Lego is that they actually worked on stakeholder branding, which means that they involve all the stakeholders together to develop their branding strategies. And while I was in the US, I found that there are brand volunteers, which means that they will take leave from their companies, from their job, whatever they are doing, and they will go and help the companies, which is quite interesting, because if you can develop brand volunteers who can willingly come and help the brand, nothing like it, because these are the actual people who will do the advocacy for the brand. So it is even higher than that. So I think it will take some time to change those kind of mindset in India, but I'm sure that with coming times, this concept will also evolve. And with that, this is the last thing which I wanted to discuss with you, which is about what we are doing in the next scenario. So what the brands have to do. So the brands have to be a good listener. Of course, you have to listen what people are saying. You have to understand what they are trying to tell you, what are the signals which are been there, and then accordingly act on it with whatever is given. So we were working on higher education branding and how hybrid structure is working, because you're working in the online and offline space, as we are connected digitally now. So what we realized is that mainly what is happening in the listening part and acting upon it, that you have to have a very inclusive strategy. An inclusive strategy where you incline all the stakeholders, listen to all the voices. I think this is very important, listening to all voices, because if you listen to only one particular community, that doesn't work. I think the good example that's coming in my mind is Starbucks, and they work very well while they work on their strategies, and especially the branding strategies. And the second point is about the experience. So I think while listening to everybody experience, how do you develop that and how do you take it forward from there? So basically, while I was working on my book, I wrote the cases about how people are, see, because it's a human tendency when you're sharing any experience, you always want to be featured. So I think McDonald's is a brand which actually took up in a big way, and wherever you share the stories about the people, they flash it out, and that has worked very well. Learning for the consumers, be open, be agile as a brand, and I think that will really help in terms of understanding what people are saying, develop the innovations as we have discussed. And there are a lot of innovations in our own country like India, where innovations are happening in a big way. For example, online dating space, if I have to say, then that has also picked up very nicely. And there are virtual dates which people are doing. It was usually happening in China earlier, because apparently the boys were more and the girls were less. Now also they have this problem because of one child policy. So they have a lot of virtual girlfriends, but that scene has also been visible in other parts of the world as well now, because they cannot go out, people cannot meet, so everything is happening in the virtual space, so virtual dating happens. And with that, the last part which I wanted to mention at this point of time is the branding has to be bold. Of course, you have to have sustainability, you have to use that spider web that we have discussed, but reassessing the brand at a regular time period, as I was mentioning, new normal is all about to change. So that's how the branding can actually be controlled and can be done in such a way so that, we can always have bold steps, but after proper assessments. So here I would like to say that we were discussing about how brandings will evolve, and one of my co-author from Australia, he actually mentioned that the best thing is about the data driven marketing, which is about the basis the data you actually assess a person, assess what is required by that person, because an individual requirement is not about the personality anymore, it is about the persona, it is about the context. So at this point of time, this is what I'm looking for, at that point of time, this is what I'm looking for. I think that is where the technology helps. And recently we were also working on how people present their identity online. So that is where people's digital footprints are also reflection of brands. So how do they portray the brands? I think that is equally important. So brands have to take the bold steps based on the data driven marketing, as well as based on the behavioral tracking, and then probably build up the strategy. So with that, I would like to end my presentation. So we are well on time, so that I can spend little time on your Q&A and probably take it up from there. So if you have any questions, any queries, please feel free to ask. I would be happy to address those questions.
So, I was just thinking about the emotional aspect that you were talking of. Okay, now consumer confidence is something that most leaders typically have to take a call decisively and ensure that they take the lead, right? If they're leaders in the category, but typically that doesn't happen because there is a lot of gut feel that one needs to take as call when you are situations like this, because none of us have experienced this in the past. Let's say this current pandemic situation. Who's got an experience? Nobody has got. We never lived during the plague time, and there has never been an advertising story that is so enriching in today's world as in then. At times, I think there's only print which was available, but the whole story is that the added to the woes of the economy. So what are we trying to build? Are we trying to build consumer confidence through emotional and empathetic approach, or are we trying to build? At the end of it, it all has to translate to revenue, right? Whatever you do, you might.
Of course.
So if the economy is also parallelly going downwards, where people are losing jobs, how do you make that balance? What is it that you need? I mean, apart from targeting capabilities and all that, which we all know of, what is the creative route that you need to take to ensure that you get the messaging right?
Sure. So thank you so much for that question. I think that was a very wonderful question. I would like to say that, of course, when I was discussing about the emotional branding and the empathetic branding, I was mentioning that, see, my whole idea and the philosophy is that you can get to the numbers through right stories at the right point of time. So the whole idea is that the entire story has to be contextualized in the digital setting. And that is where I gave you the example of Zivame. And they have worked exceptionally well to first identify the pain points of the people, and which were women in the lingerie sector. And then they developed the stories around that pain points, educated the women. For example, after a certain point of time, you should not use lingerie. Most of the people don't even realize that. So in that case, when people got educated and they feel more comfortable in the digital space, that's how the brand awareness created. And that's how the revenue was affected. So primarily, if we focus only on the figures, that's what I was saying. Of course, ultimately, you have to reach to the bottom line. but the way you reach, probably that would be a little different now.
See,
Because
for Zivame, they were in a point of no return, right? They had to take bold steps or be out of business. So it worked for them. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, that's a great case study, no doubt about it. Somebody had the guts to take
yes,
that call. Now you go take the same thing. Let's say take it to Tanishq, right? It's a leader in the category.
correct,
They've been in a hiatus. Okay, we
correct,
got to do something, but there are a bunch of uh, spineless people who are, I mean, not I'm not talking of personalities, I'm saying who collectively look at data so much that the whole gut aspect of moving out of hiatus is lost in the whole battle. matlab, uh, because the data that they're seeing is all irrelevant, right? Because we are sitting at a time when all the past data can't be, you can't calculate what will be my YTD for Dhanteras last year to vis-a-vis this
correct.
year. वो होएगा ही
नहीं
नहीं,
होगा.
right? So हाँ, तो वो gut feel नहीं रहेगा तो how do you I mean, you can build all the stories, but there has to be adoption to those
Yes,
stories also. You might tell the story very well, all of that can happen, but somewhere somebody has to take those decisions, and that decision is where in the advertising world currently, most of us, if you talk to anybody, I'm sure you do, but in the process of interaction on any research material that you do, if you speak to any of those, they'll all say, oh yeah, we are doing that, but you will never see that in action. I mean, except for a Zivame, which is a great example. If they're not done it, then like I said, they would have never been not been in business. But not many people do that, right? What happened to Uber? I mean, there's another argument that you can keep doing that. They'll never meet that metrics which will ever see them profitable, because that's what my analysis of that company, given the nature of business. But look at what happened. They got the cash. They've now started showing growth in their losses. When I say growth in losses, not they've shrunk the size of losses, but they've shut their offices in Mumbai, which means the growth market like India is seeing people, while there are advertising going around hygiene and all of that, there is still this constraint, right? I mean, that constraint, how do you evolve and tell people to get out of it and be a little bold? What do you need to do? You need to build consumer confidence, or you need to build business? What is it that you need to do?
so Ram, this is a very nice paradox that we are discussing. So I keep saying this because, see, the co-creation helps from the brand as well as consumers, which was the actual background with which we started the discussion. So same thing applies here. I am completely with you in terms of your views, because you might have good stories, you might have the data, you might have the behavioral component, but of course you should have the gut to execute that. For example, if you start with a hybrid model, which is a bold step for most of the companies, you have to execute it. So I agree with you that it also depends upon the business leaders, how bold they are, how innovative they are, because you can always make the recommendations, but if the CEO of the company or the top management doesn't agree to take those bold steps, probably that will not function so easily.
Right.
So I think it works. That's why I always emphasize that we should have a participatory, inclusive approach, which means that all the stakeholders have to align together to develop that inclusive approach. It may be related to empathetic branding or emotional branding also, for that matter. But unless and until your stakeholders align together, it's very difficult to even execute. So I agree that while we are discussing about the bold step in terms of developing it, but of course it has to be executed.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
Got it.
But
Thank
most
you.
of the companies, I think Tata Group is something which is coming in my mind, Aditya Birla Group. They have actually executed that, and I think Aditya Birla revamped the entire, the mess with that particular sustainability platform. So I think those kind of leaders are, of course, required in a country like India.
Right.
Thank you.
And when I've named these brands, there's nothing wrong with those people, but the environment makes everybody worry. So it's got, I use terms like spineless, it's not got to indicate towards about any particular person. It's just that they're all very excited about it, and then they go back to foolishness of YTD of last year, which is so irrelevant. You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand. And this is a very important point that you're making, that your last year data cannot be your reference point.
Yeah.
Because your reference point is actually what is happening maybe in the last month, maybe.
Yeah.
But because the new normal is all about the constant change, That is the reason I kept emphasizing on agile organization and, dynamic environment. And you are right, leaders may be correct, but maybe the environment is not suitable enough. Maybe people are not ready to accept your strategies.
Understood.
So I think that is equally important. So basically, you have to be a little more dynamic and agile while you're developing the strategies. And of course, the data point cannot be last year, of course, because unfortunately, in this pandemic scenario, we don't have a reference point. We're just making new history from every day's work, trying to sustain and survive.
True that. All right. Thank
you. I think this was a wonderful discussion. And thank you so much, Arul. And thank you so much, the entire team.
Thank you, Varsha. We'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.